Story 1. The woman beneath my window. It happened about a month ago, but I still can't shake it off. I live in a quiet area near the edge of town, not exactly deep in the woods, but close enough that the sounds of crickets and owls replace traffic at night. Behind my house, there's a patch of trees that stretches for about half a mile until it meets an old fence. Beyond that fence lies what everyone in the neighborhood calls the restricted lake. No one really knows what it is. There are warning signs and barbed wire all around, but it's not listed on any map. One evening, I went for a run through the woods like I usually do. Halfway through, I thought I heard footsteps behind me, just faint crunches in the leaves, but every time I looked back, there was nothing. I brushed it off as paranoia. That night, a thunderstorm rolled in. I love sleeping with the windows open when it rains. The sound always calms me down. Around midnight, the storm was at its loudest when I suddenly heard something strange beneath my bedroom window. It sounded like crying. At first, I thought it was the wind, but then a voice, soft trembling, said, "Can you help me? I'm cold." My whole body froze. It was definitely a woman's voice. I grabbed my flashlight and ran outside through the rain. And there she was, crouched under my window, barefoot, wearing what looked like a soaked white dress. When I asked if she needed help, she looked up, and that's when something changed. Her face twisted into something wild and unnatural, and before I could react, she rushed straight at me. Her movements were fast. Too fast. I stumbled back, ready to defend myself, but right before she reached me, she stopped. We locked eyes for a second, her expression blank, like she didn't even see me, and then she turned and sprinted into the woods barefoot, disappearing into the dark. My dad and I searched with flashlights, but found nothing. We called the police the next morning, but they said they didn't find anyone in the area. A week later, while jogging near the lake fence, I saw movement across the water, a figure sitting near the edge. It was her. Same white dress, same long hair. She turned, looked straight at me, and smiled. Then she stood up, pressed her hands against the fence, and without hesitation, dove into the water. The police never found anyone. But lately, every night when it rains, I hear footsteps under my window again. Story 2. The storm shelter. A few months ago, my marriage was falling apart. My wife and I fought almost every day, and one night after another screaming match, I just left. I didn't even take a bag, just grabbed my keys and drove off into the storm that was brewing outside. Didn't want to go to a hotel because she'd know where to find me. So I headed to an old property I owned about 30 minutes out of town, a concrete warehouse that I had bought cheap years ago. It used to be a shooting range, I think. No neighbors, no streetlights, just endless fields and silence. By the time I arrived, the thunderstorm was in full force. Rain hammered against the metal roof like handfuls of gravel. The inside of the building smelled like dust and rust, but it was dry, a good enough place to crash for the night. I set up a cot in the upstairs office and tried to relax. I was almost drifting off when I heard glass shatter somewhere downstairs. My heart stopped. I grabbed my flashlight and the hunting rifle I kept there, mostly hidden from my wife, and carefully made my way down the stairs. The only sound was the rain pounding the roof. I found a broken window at the back, a hole just big enough for someone's hand to reach through. Nothing else seemed disturbed. I figured maybe a branch had blown through during the storm. Still uneasy, I covered the hole with cardboard and went back upstairs. About an hour later, through the thunder and rain, I heard footsteps below me, slow, careful, trying to stay quiet. I held my breath and waited, but the steps stopped. I told myself it was just the storm, that old buildings make noises like that. I almost believed it, until I heard something being dragged across the floor. That sound, the scrape of heavy furniture across concrete, is something you never forget. I lost it. I stormed downstairs, flicking on every light, yelling that I had a gun. My voice echoed back at me, but no one answered. Nothing was out of place. The air, though, felt wrong, cold. Heavy. Then something in me changed, a primal kind of panic, like every nerve in my body screaming, "Get out." I can't explain it, but I knew I wasn't alone. I packed up, locked the doors, and left. I drove through the storm with my heart pounding the entire way home. A few days later, when I finally worked up the nerve to return, I found deep drag marks across the concrete floor. Like something heavy had been pulled all the way from the back room to the stairs. I still don't know what was in there that night. But I do know this: the next time it storms, I'll be anywhere but that building. Story 3: The Roadside Scream. My name's Jason, and I live way out in the countryside, the kind of place where the nearest store is half an hour away, and your cell service dies as soon as you leave the main road. This happened about a month ago, during one of the worst thunderstorms I've ever driven through. My buddy, Leo, and I had gone to a small get-together a few towns over. Nothing wild, just a few friends, music, drinks. I was the designated driver that night, so while Leo got drunk, I stuck to soda. By the time we left, it was close to 1 a.m. The rain was coming down in sheets, my windshield wipers working overtime, and thunder rumbling like the sky was tearing apart. About 10 minutes into the drive, Leo started complaining that he needed to pee badly. I told him to hold it, but after 5 more minutes of him whining, I gave up and pulled over on a long, empty stretch of road. Cornfields on both sides. No houses, no lights. Just us and the storm. He stumbled out, muttering something, and wandered into the field. Within seconds, the rain had swallowed him up. I sat in the car, engine running, staring into the dark, when I heard something faint, a sound that didn't belong to the storm. It came from behind the car. A rustling. I turned around, expecting Leo, but saw nothing. Just blackness. I brushed it off until another few minutes passed, and still no Leo. Finally, he came sprinting out of the field, soaked, pale as a ghost, and screaming at me to drive. I barely had time to ask before he was shouting, "That wasn't you out there. That wasn't you." I hit the gas. He was shaking so hard he could barely talk, but eventually he told me that while he was out there, he saw someone standing just beyond the tall corn. Someone built like me. He called out, thinking I'd followed him, but the figure didn't answer. It just turned and started walking deeper into the field. Leo followed. Then, when the figure turned again, it wasn't me. The face was wrong. Wrong in a way he couldn't describe. We were maybe 2 miles down the road when the car suddenly jolted hard to the right. A flat tire. The worst timing imaginable. I pulled over, cursing, and stepped out into the rain. When I checked the tire, I froze. A screwdriver was jammed deep into the sidewall. Leo started panicking again, saying it had to be that thing he saw in the field. We were changing the tire as fast as we could when we both heard it. A blood-curdling scream from somewhere behind us. A woman's voice, high-pitched, desperate. Leo begged me to go back and help. I refused. My instincts were screaming that it was a trap. I threw the tools in the trunk and sped off. We called 911 as we drove, giving them the location. But when the police searched the area later, they said they found nothing. No footprints. No tire, no screwdriver, nothing. To this day, Leo swears he saw someone out there. And I believe him. Because when I got home later that night, soaked and exhausted, I found something that made my blood run cold. A muddy handprint. Right on my car door.